Okay, this is going to be some bonus coverage of the question of why was there nothing rather than something. So, in the main discussion, I talked about and I started talking about an alignment between the ancient authors who thought there was nothing, and then suddenly out of that nothing came everything, and that alignment with modern science, which also believes pretty much the same thing. We've got today's world, most scientists, most mainstream scientists believe that there was a Big Bang, and the Big Bang started with a quantum fluctuation. There was nothing except a sea of quantum foam or a sea of quantum nothingness, basically. And then all of a sudden, out of that came a fluctuation, and then bam, everything that happened. I think today's world, they say, the great they say, well, there was what's known as cosmic inflation first. Everything expanded at extraordinary, out of ridiculous fast pace, and just exploded out of everything. And it was inflation, and then the Big Bang took place. So that's, I think, the current chronology, if you will. But the traditional view was, of course, that you have the Big Bang and then cosmic inflation, which then is hyper fast expansion of space and time. But the core issue, the big point is there was nothing, quantum nothingness, basically zero, and then out of that something. You get this blast of just something out of nothing, and that ties in with the very much so with the ancient authors of the Bible, the Quran, the Kajiti, the Buddhism, all of the various texts and traditions, the Native American culture, everybody who also thought there was nothing and then there was something. The Big Bang, let me tell you, let me read this. Okay, comes from medium.com, and it says, so what caused the Big Bang? For years, physicists have speculated that the Big Bang emerged spontaneously and suddenly from the sea of quantum fluctuation probabilities or from the collapse of singularities. Right, so it's pretty much what I just said, but that's more or less, I guess, better stated. It's almost always going to be better stated if it's something that you find on the internet, and they're going to be able to put it in good words. But the question that I've got is, could they be wrong? Could they be wrong? Could it have been that there was no creation out of nothing? That something actually did always exist? Let's take a look at some competing theories against the Big Bang. There used to be a very well-known competing theory known as the steady state theory. Scientist Fred Hoyle, who has there's quite a number of famous things that he's said and that are taken from his thinking. But one of the things was the steady state theory, and it said that there was always the same amount of matter and energy in the universe, but when it dissipates or when it goes away, there's a created amount that substitutes or that replaces that. And so that was what's known as the steady state theory. And it has gone by the wayside because the Big Bang theory has taken over. But nevertheless, it was out there. And there are some people that still have a quasi version of it that they've championed. And so we're going to explore that too. I really want to know. I don't want to just know the Big Bang theory. I want to know all of it, the alternatives, the steady state theory. And then there's another couple of other items. Let me take a look here at what I wrote down. Einstein's static eternal universe theory. So that theory, it's going to be really cool to dig into that because Einstein was right and then he was wrong and then he was right and then he was wrong. And you never know. I mean, where do we land? And is it just because we're here now doesn't mean that he's wrong about this particular theory, which was that it was a static universe, but then he built in what's known as the cosmological constant, and it gets a little bit crazy from there, but I can't wait to really dig into that one too. And then Stephen Hawking with his cohort Hartle, they have the Hawking-Hartle no boundary concept. And that's just really, again, very fascinating subject, very interesting. And basically what he's saying and what they're saying is at some point, if you go all the way back to the Big Bang, all right, all the way to the point of the Big Bang, at some point, very close to the very, very beginning, if not at the beginning, time loses relevance. It separates from space and it becomes irrelevant to the conversation. And that's just, again, fascinating. It means basically that time as we know it it doesn't exist at that point, and therefore there is no limit to when the universe existed. It would have been there forever in a different way than that is what I've formulated it previously, but nevertheless, something that we really have to look at, something that, and again, I'm stumbling a little. I got to really get my arms around that one. It's a hard concept, but it's a super cool concept that I'm really can't wait to talk to somebody who really knows it well and really gets down. Then there is, again, there's a bunch of cyclical alternatives. Well, it's known as the ekpyrotic universe theory, and I'd love to talk to James Gardner. Unfortunately, he passed away, but it's going to make it much more difficult to talk to him. But not impossible, but pretty close. But anyway, we're gonna. I'm going to talk to some other people who are also in that camp. The people who believe that there was a big bounce instead of a big bang. People who think that universes, were brains and they came together, but they were always existing. Something along those lines. There's a guy named Steinhardt out there. He's really got some interesting thoughts, and so I can't wait. I'm just going to be very excited to talk to those folks. But the bottom line is, what if something always existed in and of itself? All right, so it wouldn't be that there wasn't a big bounce, there wasn't a big, big crunch. There weren't planes that were coming together, cosmic planes, not airplanes, cosmic planes that were coming together. It wasn't like that, but rather something always existed. I know religious people would have to at least, someone would have to admit that is some compelling thought, even if it doesn't comport with what they believe to be the thing that always existed. They believe that God, the creative source, Allah, Brahma, all the various different names for the creative source, they believe that was something of a primary, what they call an irreducible primary. But I'm going to throw out there's a possibility to look at something else, which is the quantum itself. Could that have been the irreducible primary? We really want to take a look at that. So, again, this is another situation where I'm going to ask you to go to our website, comment on that. Let me know what your thoughts are on that specific issue and any other issue that you might have. Again, that website is exusthepodquest.com. Let's have all your questions, your comments. Love to know what you think we should cover in this show outside of what we're already doing. Let me know that. You go there, and we will be going ever forward.